Hello and welcome to IT Geek TV. Few days back we have posted a video on Hyper-V quick migration, and today we are going to post a video on Hyper-V live migration. Okay, so let me explain you a bit about theory part, how live migration being done, and what are the things are very important in failover clustering. And few of the application does not support live migration. For that, how you can restrict that resource not to move to other host in case of any failover occurred. Okay, so what is live migration? Live migration is pretty much similar to quick migration, but a bit of different in few aspects, which are that live migration can only be done when the virtual machines are in running state. Okay, unlikely in quick migration, if the virtual machine is powered off mode, then also you can migrate that virtual machine. The second important thing is live migration. What happens in the live migration is, in live migration, suppose that Windows 7 virtual machine is placed on Hyper-V1 hypervisor. Okay, so what happens, as soon as you click on quick migration part and you select the particular Hyper-V host, Hyper-V 2 I'm considering here, so a shell is created on Hyper-V 2. Okay, and the files are moved, the pages are moved over the your WAN connection, or you can call any kind of connection you're using on your environment. Okay, so the ownership changes at the very last minute, where you get a few drops on a network connection. Normally user didn't figure out what happens exactly, but in the background the last pages which are holded back by Hyper-V1 releases that particular pages, and that ownership changes, and the virtual machine register itself from Hyper-V1 to Hyper-V 2. I'll show you that how the symlink files are moved instantaneously while we do live migration. Okay, the other different part in live migration is that whenever you use in a cluster, you will get few of the things like preferred owner and possible owner. I'll explain you with an example how the preferred owner works and how possible owner works. It comes very handy in case of anti-affinity. You can call it as a helper in anti-affinity, deploying anti-affinity, where you can restrict that particular virtual machine. You can restrict that particular virtual machine's configuration file, that in case that there's a any catastrophic issue occurred in your environment, that as per the cluster rule, that particular resource will move to any other host but will not power on. So it will prevent any issue that your that particular virtual machine should not move to any other host, or it should not power on to any other host. I'll show you this with an example. There is a Microsoft link, you can go and read the detail about it. Okay, so let's quickly move on to the lab. Okay, so I'm moving on to my Hyper-V 3 hypervisor. Okay, so what kind of resources we have? We have a cluster. Its name is cluster.itgeektv.com. itgeektv is our domain. So for role purposes, I'm using a Windows 8 client machine and Windows 7 client machine. For the nodes, we have three Hyper-V nodes: Hyper-V1, Hyper-V 2 and Hyper-V 3. For disk, I'm using two disks. One is for core RAM, another is CSV. I'm using my domain controller, which I'm not showing you, as a target server, and these are the initiators. Okay, so this is SSD I'm using currently now with 100 gigabyte of disk space, and core RAM I'm using only 3 gigabyte, because it will not use all those 3 gigabyte of disk. For live migration, I'm using uh, two network cards out of three. Okay, dedicatedly for the purpose. Okay, what you have to check in Hyper-V manager, few things you have to check. First, you go in Hyper-V setting, and you should check how many concurrent live migration supports. For the moment I'm using two. Okay, you must remove any unnecessary IP addresses added into that into this column. If not necessary, you should remove it. Okay, and other thing is pretty much okay. You can also, if suppose this Hyper-V hypervisor, all three hypervisors are not in failover cluster, then there comes also a setting where you have to define all these things, like what is CRED SSP. I'll make a detailed video on it, how it works when it is not in cluster, and what happens when it goes into the cluster. In Kerberos, you have to define few of the settings in active directory for that particular virtual machine, that particular hypermedia machines. Okay, and these things you can select TCP IP, the compression, the SMB protocols and all. Okay, I'll make a detailed video on it, but since it is in cluster, I'm not gonna explain these parts. I'll explaining in the next video which I'm gonna post in few days. Okay, so let's move to the cluster part, and I'll show you by doing a quickly a line migration. First I'll show you if there is any preferred owner or something I have set. I haven't set any set any setting for this for both the virtual machines. Okay, so currently Windows 8 virtual machine, Windows 8 client machine is hosted on Hyper-V 1. So I'll go in Hyper-V 1 and I'll show you. Here you will find the symlink files. Okay, it is under C program data Microsoft Windows Hyper-V virtual machine. Okay, see, as soon as I'll migrate it to Hyper-V 3, anyone you can select. I'm selecting Hyper-V 3. You will find it disappears. So as you can see, the virtual machine has been lively migrated on Hyper-V 3. So what I'll do is I'll see if I can find the symlink on the same server where it has been migrated. Yes, you can see the symlink is here. The virtual machine unregistered itself from Hyper-V 1, then it moves over the WAN to the Hyper-V 3 and register itself. There is no save state occurs in live migration, unlikely which occurs in quick migration, where virtual machine goes into another phase where it saves itself and then register on some other Hyper-V machine and then comes under the live state. Okay, so unlikely in Hyper-V live migration, that phase does not occur. Okay, let me move client 7 virtual machine to Hyper-V. Currently it is placed on Hyper-V 2, so I'll be moving it to Hyper-V 1. So let's go on to the same place. If let's see if we can see any symlink occur. So if the symlink occurs here, that means your virtual machine has successfully lively migrated. Okay, so few days back I faced some issue, like there was an issue with my disk. Suppose if you are using a disk and you have selected multi-pathing, okay, and you're not using MPIO, so which I failed, and I have seen the same issue doing multiple R&Ds in my lab, that if you will not install MPIO and you will not register that device with the MPIO, you will certainly face an issue in live migration as well as quick migration. So I'll refer you and I'll guide you guys to, if you're using multipathing, do use MPIO. Okay, because it will sort out some issues which do occur in the background. Okay, so let me show you some other parts. What is preferred owner? I'll show you with an example what happens if you set preferred owner in that for a particular virtual machine. Suppose if my currently that Windows 7 client machine is on Hyper-V 1, okay, and I'm selecting it as a preferred owner. I'm also selecting allow failback immediately option. What happens by doing this is, suppose Hyper-V 1 goes down, okay, so that virtual machine will go to some other Hyper-V host based on the resources. Cluster will manage that part. As soon as Hyper-V 1 come back, so this virtual machine should, I'm telling you should, because I'm not predicting whether it will move or not, but by the logic it should move. Okay, so I'm applying the setting and I'm going to stop the cluster service on Hyper-V 1. Okay, I have stopped the cluster service on Hyper-V 1. So you can see it is lively migrating from Hyper-V 1 to Hyper-V 2. Since, see, you have done the stopping of cluster service in a controlled manner, so then you can see the live migration part, because it stopped the cluster services on that particular Hyper-V host. In that case, the live migration will occur. If suddenly any catastrophe occurs and that Hyper-V1 goes down, in that case your virtual machine will go into the safe state. Yes, it will go in the safe state, then it will power on. So this will be the case. So here in the case, if you are stopping the cluster service, so it will give a reply to the virtual machine that you have to migrate, you have to do a live migration as soon as possible to any other host. Okay, so here you can see what will happen, that I have selected for this particular virtual machine is failover immediately. So as soon as I'll start the cluster service, in the background that Hyper-V host is joining the cluster, you can see immediately that live migration, the failback is occurring instantaneously as soon as the heartbeat response between the Hyper-V host occurs. Okay, so this is the option. When you will select the failover option, this thing will happen with that particular virtual machine. Okay, but there is a trick. Okay, if you will migrate it manually, suppose I'm doing a live migration, okay, to Hyper-V 3 considering Hyper-V 2. Okay, in that case this failover will not occur, failback will not occur, because the failback only occurs when failover occurs. Okay, so you did a manual interruption. In that case, if that Hyper-V host goes down and come, that virtual machine will not migrate. Okay, so other parts I have to show you is this. There you go, the advanced policies. So, like what I have faced, that Skype for Business does not support live migration in Hyper-V. Okay, so in that case, if I have to restrict my front end servers, if I have to restrict uh, some other servers which are part of Skype for Business, and I don't want them to be migrated lively to have a live migration on some other Hyper-V host, so I can restrict them in a way that since the cluster says in any case, if uh, any role hosted on a particular Hyper-V, okay, and that goes down, it certainly will move, but with this option you can restrict them that it will not power on. So your main agenda of having to preventing live migration will not succeed 100%, but with this restriction, that virtual machine will not power on, so it will prevent any issue which may occur if the live migration will happen. Okay, let me show you with an example how you can do it. Okay, I'm selecting Windows 8 machine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, in advanced policies, for the configuration part, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to select every Hyper-V host will host the configuration file of this virtual machine. Okay, but for virtual machine, I'm going to select only Hyper-V 3. I cannot untick that Hyper-V 3 because currently it is placed on Hyper-V 3. Okay, okay, let's see what will happen. First I have to move cluster disk to any other, select Hyper-V 2. Okay, and I have to stop the cluster service on Hyper-V 3. For the moment it will give me some no items found issue, but we'll wait for a few seconds. Okay, as I have stopped the cluster service, as you can see that Hyper-V 3 is currently, since there is also a bit of information, whenever you set the policies, then the live migration will not occur if you have ticked it for a particular Hyper-V host, so it will definitely go into the safe state. Okay, based on the policies, it will power on or will not power on. Okay, let me show you what happens exactly. Okay, so I have selected, let me show you the settings also. For the virtual machine, I have selected that the virtual machine should remain on Hyper-V 3. Since the cluster says if Hyper-V 3 goes down, it will certainly move to any other host. It has to move some other host. Okay, so it is, the configuration file is not popping up. There is some issue for the moment. Now it came. Okay, so what, for configuration file, I have selected any Hyper-V host can host this configuration file. So whenever I'll bring it online, it will certainly come online, but the virtual machine will remain in safe state. If I'll start, I'll get an error. So let me show you what the error says. The operation failed because either the specified cluster node is not the owner of the resource, or the node is not a possible owner. Okay, so what I'll do is, in the meanwhile, you will see that virtual machine is in the safe state. So what I'll do is, I'll try to ping. I'll see the difference, you have to understand. What I'll show you, I'll try to ping. You will see destination host unreachable till the virtual machine will be in the safe state. Okay, now what I have to do is, if I have to bring this resource online or bring this virtual machine online, what I have to do is, okay, I have to select any host on this, select the host on which this virtual machine is hosted. I'll show you, but before that, I would also like to show you what will happen if that virtual machine, that Hyper-V host, suppose something happens, powered off, power issue, disk failed, anything, and the virtual and the Hyper-V host reboots. In that case, it will go into the phase of 90 seconds and 120 seconds on the reboot issue. So as soon as after reboot, that Hyper-V host will come up, like I'm going to show you a simulation. Suppose the cluster service starts and it will join the cluster. Okay, currently it is joining. So this virtual machine will move to the host previously it was on. So as you can see, it has moved and is starting. Okay, so currently you will see the starting and it's running. Now see the ping response. Now you will see the ping response. So do you understand the logic? The logic is, suppose my Skype for Business front end server does not support live migration. So I have selected the anti-fnatic rule. In that case, my Windows 8 machine, which is considered holding a front end role, okay, suppose if the Hyper-V 3 goes down, so it should not go to any Hyper-V host and power on. So it will prevent any catastrophic issue which may occur if that would have to be successfully migrated to some other Hyper-V host. Okay, so by doing that, you can prevent this issue. So earlier what I have done is, for Hyper-V virtual machine configuration file, I have selected every node should host. See, if the configuration file will not be with that virtual machine, the virtual machine will not power on. Okay, so you can see what I'm gonna see. I'm gonna reverse the situation. I'm gonna select every Hyper-V host should be hosting the virtual machine, but only Hyper-V 3 should be hosting the configuration file. So earlier when I tried to bring the configuration file, it does came up, it did came up, but now it will not come. Okay, so I'm gonna down the Hyper-V 3 again. Okay, so now you will see it is going in saving state, because I'm doing a controlled draining of roles. Okay, so that is why it is going in save state mode. But when there will be any power cut issue or any something issue will occur, it will directly go in offline mode and the virtual machines will go in power off mode. Okay, So as you can see, the current state of the virtual machine is safe state. Okay, and when I'll try to bring start, it show you some error. Let's see what the error is. Hey, why? Because it has a dependency. The virtual machine will not power on because it has a dependency that first virtual machine configuration file should came up, then I'll come up, then I'll came up. Okay, so what we have to do in that case is, to resolve such issues, we can go in advanced policy, and currently it is on Hyper-V 1. We have to select this, and when we'll try to bring it online, it will definitely come online. Okay, so there you will be able to see the back office of Windows 8, and after that, when you will start the virtual machine, it will start up. Okay, so here you can resolve the issue, but to restrict it, you can do as I said. Okay, so these are the particular activities you should be knowing in when you're supporting any Hyper-V cluster or any application which are hosted on Hyper-V cluster. Hope the video was informative. Please share, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.